Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about email marketing because honestly, email marketing is the most underrated and largely untapped free traffic asset. In fact, most business owners leave thousands of dollars on the table every month without even realizing it. Okay, they have this massive email list with potential customers who've already shown interest in their products, yet this asset sits largely untapped. Well, you might ask yourself, why? It's because converting subscribers into customers isn't about selling on emails over and over again or occasional promotions. It's about having a proven system that guides people through a specific journey. Businesses seeing consistent revenue from email aren't just sending better content, they're following a structured framework that methodically builds trust and desire before even making an offer. And in this video, I'm breaking down the ARC system, a 6-part email framework that transforms cold subscribers into eager buyers basically on autopilot. This isn't about trendy tactics or writing better subject lines. This is about implementing the exact same process that successful businesses use to generate predictable revenue from their email list month after month. Okay, before I get into the system, let me share what I've seen consistently holding businesses back with their email marketing. Okay, most people treat their email list like an ATM machine, and they wonder why nobody buys and why people unsubscribe. Okay, here's what you're doing wrong. You're selling too fast. You're not building any trust. You're not building any belief. You're not handling any objections. You're just throwing offers at cold people and hoping they buy. And it doesn't work that way. Okay, think about it like this. If someone joins your email list today and you immediately send them a sales email, what are they going to be thinking? They're going to be thinking, okay, who is this person and why should I trust them if I don't know what they do yet? So they ignore you or they unsubscribe. And that's where I like to call the ARC system comes into play. Think of it like a train, a 6-carriage train, okay? Each carriage has a specific job and the lead moves through each carriage step by step until they're ready to buy, okay? And because you're doing it in the right order, it doesn't feel salesy. It just feels natural. So let me walk you through all the 6 carriages right now, okay? The first carriage is the welcome and engagement. And the goal here is to accelerate trust with new leads right away, okay? Think about what happens when someone joins your list. Most people just develop the lead magnet with a quick, take your PDF and then they disappear. And the subscriber doesn't hear from them again for like a week or two. And this is a massive mistake because you're wasting the exact moment when that person is the most engaged with you. When someone joins your email list, they're hot. They just opted in, they're paying attention, and they want to hear from you. So you need to capitalize on that immediately, okay? First, you deliver what you promised, the lead magnet or whatever it is, right? But you wrap it in context, okay? Who are you? What do you stand for? Why should they care? Make it sound more of like a beginning of a relationship instead of a transaction. The next day, you can surprise them with something extra they weren't expecting. This creates what psychologists call reciprocity. And when someone gives you something unexpected, you kind of feel like you owe them something back. It's hardwired into us. Okay. Day 3, you can deliver pure value, a quick win, a mindset shift, something that makes them feel like they're getting smarter just by being on your list without pitching them or selling them. You're just helping them trying to succeed. Then you ask them something. What's their biggest challenge? Okay. What are they really stuck on? And what are they trying to achieve in the next, say, 90 days? Okay. This survey is magic because it turns your relationship from one-way broadcasting into a two-way conversation. Okay. Now you know exactly what they care about. And finally, you bridge their specific challenge to your solution. Not in a salesy way, but by connecting the dots. You said you're struggling with X. Here's why that happens and how our approach fixes that. So that's carriage 1. A 5-email system that builds trust, creates reciprocity, demonstrates value, starts a conversation, and set you up for everything else that comes next, okay? Most people skip all of this and go straight into selling, and that's why you fail. Now here's carriage 2. This is where things get really interesting. This is where we are shifting the beliefs of our audience to pre-selling, okay? And the goal here is to pre-sell your product in the customer's mind before they even see the offer. Now, how might you do that? Okay, you shift their beliefs about what's possible and what's necessary. And we use something called the ACE framework, which stands for awareness, conviction, and emotion. Okay, think about the psychological journey that happens before someone buys. First, they need to believe that they have a problem worth solving. Then they need to believe there's a solution to that problem. And finally, they need to believe your solution is the right one. This sequence is all about orchestrating that transformation in their thinking, but in a specific order that feels natural. Now, you start by planting a new belief about why they're stuck. For example, if you sell email marketing courses, you might send them something titled, "Why Most Course Creators Never Scale Past $10,000 a Month." Okay, just for example. In this message, you're not selling, you're educating them on why their current approach is holding them back. Okay, when they read this, something clicks. They start to think, that makes sense. I've been focusing on the wrong things. Okay, you've created an aha moment that opens them to what comes next. Once you've planted this new belief, you need to solidify it with proof. And that's exactly what the next email is all about. It's about showing real world evidence that your approach actually works. Okay, you share stories of people just like them who faced the same challenges but broke through using your method. Here's Jane, who was stuck at $5,000 a month before implementing the secret system. She's now consistently at $30,000. Here's Bob, who had no email list, and now he's making $50,000 with 10,000 subscribers. The final piece of the puzzle creates emotional desire. Right? You paint a vivid picture of what their life looks like once they've implemented your solution. You're not just telling them it works. You're making them feel what it's like to have already succeeded. Okay? They can see themselves getting those results, enjoying those benefits, and being that person. And by the time they finish the sequence, they believe they need what you have to offer. They believe it works, and they actively want it. But you haven't pitched them anything yet. You've just shifted their perspective through strategic education. This belief transformation is critical, but there's still one more stage of warming needed before they're truly ready to buy. Now we're moving into carriage 3, which is the content-led sales campaign. And this is where you start to transition from pure value into sales, but you're doing it in a way that doesn't feel like they are being sold to, okay? The goal here is to build trust and engagement with 3 value-packed emails that set up the sale. And then you filter out only the engaged people to move forward. And this is key. You're not blasting everyone with the offer. You're only sending the offer to people who are paying attention to you. Okay, so here's the structure. This carriage starts by highlighting all the advantages of your solution. Okay, you're appealing directly to their desire for gain, showing them all the specific benefits they'll experience. But rather than just listing features, you're connecting each one to a meaningful outcome in their life or business. Okay, the next email is where you create a deep personal connection through your backstory. You're not positioning yourself as the untouchable guru who has always had it and figured it out. Instead, you're showing them that you were once exactly where they are now. You struggle with the exact same problem, and you tried the same ineffective solutions in the market, and you've experienced the same frustrations that they've had. And this is so powerful because people don't buy from distant experts. They buy from people they can relate to, okay? When they see themselves in your story, they think, if they figured it out, maybe I can figure it out too. And this creates emotional resonance that's essential before asking for any commitment. The third email paints a vivid picture of what their future looks like after implementing your solution, okay? You're not just telling them it works. You're making them feel what it's like to have already succeeded. They can kind of visualize themselves enjoying those specific results, which creates powerful emotional desire. Through this entire sequence, you're directing them to consume deeper content, videos, podcasts, articles that expand on what you're sharing. But here's the key. There's no offer on those content pieces. You're still just delivering value and building engagement. This approach serves another critical purpose. It naturally filters your audience, right? Only the people who click through and engage with this content move to the next phase. Everyone else stays on your main list, but doesn't see your sales sequence yet. This natural self-selection is amazing because it means you're only presenting your offer to people who are demonstrating active engagement, right? They're raising their hand through their behavior, showing they're interested enough to take action. Only after someone has shown this level of engagement are they ready to see your actual conversion sequence. They've been properly prepared through a strategic journey that makes your offer feel like the next natural step rather than an unwelcome sales pitch. Okay, now we're in carriage 4, which is the conversion sequence. This is where we actually try to convert warm prospects into buyers. Think about how people actually make buying decisions. They need multiple reasons to justify a purchase, not just one. Okay, this sequence strategically addresses the 4 key buying motivations that trigger decisions. The journey starts right after someone has engaged with your content from the previous carriage. They've shown interest, so now you explain the mechanism behind your solution. The because therefore connection, right? You're showing them exactly how your approach works and the logical reason why it works, okay? This satisfies their rational mind, which needs to understand the process before it can approve a purchase. The next day, you tap into one of the strongest buying motivators, speed. Right? Everyone wants results faster. It's hardwired into human psychology. So you demonstrate specifically how your solution accelerates their path to the outcome. So for example, without this system, building your email list would take 6 months of trial and error. With it, you can achieve the same results in just 6 weeks, okay? This creates a sort of urgency without resorting to fake scarcity tactics. Following that, you need to address another core desire, ease. People don't want results fast. They want them without excessive effort. This email shows them how your approach reduces the work, simplifies the process, and eliminates common frustrations. You're painting a picture of achievement without the usual struggles and sacrifices. The sequence culminates by focusing on quality. You're showing them that your solution doesn't just deliver results faster and easier, it delivers better results than they could achieve on their own, right? So for example, our system doesn't just build your list faster, it attracts subscribers who are 40% more likely to open emails and 32% more likely to buy. You're addressing the lingering concern about shortcuts leading to inferior outcomes. And what makes this approach so powerful is that you've now stacked 4 compelling reasons to buy. Logic, speed, ease, and quality. And each one builds on the previous, creating a complete case that speaks to both the rational and the emotional drivers. And because you've spread it across multiple days, it feels like a natural conversation rather than an overwhelming sales pitch. But here's the reality. Even with this perfect sequence, some people still won't buy. And that's where the next phase comes in. Carriage 5 is where you handle the people who didn't buy, and most systems just give up on these people, right? That's absurd because most people who don't buy aren't saying no forever. They're just saying not yet or not right now. And if you can figure out why they didn't buy, you can address that objection and convert them later. So here's what you do. The goal of this carriage is to get them to fill out a survey that tells you why they didn't buy. And then you follow up based on their specific objection. So email 1 acknowledges that they haven't bought and asks them to take a quick 4-question survey, right? Now, most people won't take the survey after the first email. So email 2 is where you bait them, kind of, right? You're like, hey, if you take the survey, I'll give you a free preview of the paid content, or I'll give you a bonus, or whatever it is. You're basically incentivizing them to tell you their objection. And email 3 makes it even easier. You're like, okay, I know surveys can be annoying, so I made this one just 1 question. And you're acknowledging that everyone's situation is unique and not being pushy. Email 4 is the final plea. You're like, okay, listen, I really do want to help you, and I can't really do that unless I know what's stopping you, okay? So this is the last time I'll ask, just give me your honest feedback, right? And then here's where things get really smart. Once they take the survey, you have a follow-up sequence that's tailored to their specific objection. And this is carriage 5, stage 2. Let's say they said the objection is price. So 2 hours after they submit the survey, you send them a video that addresses price objections. If they said timing, you send them a different video that addresses timing. If they said they're not sure it'll work for them, send them proof and case studies. You're basically customizing the follow-up based on what they actually said to you. And this is so powerful because you're not guessing what their objection is through multiple emails. You're asking them and then you're directly addressing it. And this turns a lot of not yets into yeses down the line. But there's still one more layer that can push fence sitters over the edge, and that's where the final carriage comes in. The final carriage is risk reversal, and the goal here is to kill all logical resistance to buying. You're making it a no-brainer decision by removing all the risk. Most people are afraid to buy because they're thinking, okay, what if this doesn't work for me, and what if I waste my money? So you have to take that fear away. Email 1 is the risk-free trial email. You're basically going to ask them, okay, what if you could try this 100% risk-free? And then you offer them either the first module of your paid course, for absolutely free, or a trial period, or a preview, or whatever makes sense for your product. But the point is they can test it before they fully commit. And once they get a taste and they can see that it actually works, the resistance melts away. Email 2 is the guarantee email. In this, you can kind of tell them if you have a 90-day ROI guarantee or money back guarantee, or whatever it is, right? And you're explaining exactly how the guarantee works and why it makes this a no-brainer. And this email makes the logical brain kind of shut down because the logical brain is the one saying that, this is risky. What if this doesn't work? Well, now it's not risky. So there's basically a guarantee so that that objection is gone, right? This is the final push. This is what converts the last skeptics into buyers. And it's so much better than just creating fake urgency or doing some sleazy countdown timer. You're actually removing risk, which is a real thing people care about. Now, you might be wondering why this system works so much better than everything else you've tried, okay? And let me break that down for you. First reason the ARC system wins is because it's relationship first, sales second, okay? Most email systems burn trust by selling way too fast, okay? They hopefully give you a lead magnet and then proceed to send the same 10 sales emails over and over again, and people feel used and they unsubscribe. ARC system warms the lead with trust, belief, and desire before you ever pitch. So by the time they see the offer, they're ready for it. They want it, and it doesn't feel like you're selling to them. Okay. The second reason is segmentation and personalization. So instead of sending the same email to everyone, you're using surveys, you're using clicks, you're using engagement data to customize what people see. And customized emails convert way higher than generic email blasts. Now, the third reason is because the ARC system covers the full customer journey, right? Other systems just stop at the offer. Like, here's the thing, buy it or don't, right? The ARC system covers the welcome sequence, pre-selling the customers, sales, conversion, objection handling, and risk reversal. You're handling every stage of the customer journey. Fourth reason, it's backed by psychology. Each carriage aligns with how humans actually make decisions. You need trust before belief. You need belief before desire. And you need desire before you'll overcome objections. And the ARC follows that natural psychology of buying. The fifth reason, it creates urgency without being sleazy. You're using case studies, you're future pacing, you're using dynamic deadlines, but it doesn't feel gross because you built so much value and trust first, okay? Most people try to manufacture urgency through fake countdown timers, or there's only 3 spots spots left, right? And everybody can see through that stuff. But the ARC system creates natural urgency through psychology, showing transformation possibilities, demonstrating real results from others, and creating clear decision points. When someone sees what's possible and realizes others are already achieving it, they naturally feel a sense of urgency to catch up. The entire sequence feels authentic because you've earned the right to make an offer. You've delivered value at every step. You've built genuine relationship and trust, and you've proven your expertise through helpful content rather than just claiming it. So when I see people just randomly emailing their list with offers and wondering why nothing's working, I think to myself, I'm like, you're missing the entire point. Email isn't about blasting people. It's about taking them on a journey. Think about the buyer's journey as a path with distinct psychological stages. Each carriage in the ARC system maps to a specific stage, and they must happen in order because each one builds on the foundation laid by the previous, okay? The welcome and the engagement sequence comes first because it establishes the baseline relationship. This is where you transform a cold subscriber into someone who trusts you enough to keep opening your emails. And the timing here is absolutely critical because, those first 5 days after someone joins your list represent the peak of their attention and interest in you. So if you don't capitalize on this window, engagement will drop from them dramatically and never fully recover. The awareness shift sequence follows because you can't sell to someone unless they believe they have a problem worth solving, okay? Most people try to sell solutions to people who don't even recognize they have the problem yet. The three-part ACE framework transforms how they think about their situation before you ever make an offer, okay? The content-led sales campaign comes third because it creates a natural self-selection mechanism. By delivering high-value content that requires engagement, or clicking through the videos, articles, whatever it is, basically identifying who's actually paying attention to your stuff, right? This behavioral segmentation ensures you only move truly interested prospects into your conversion sequence, dramatically improving your conversion rates. Now, the conversion sequence follows at precisely the right moment. After they've shown engagement with your content, now you're speaking only to people who have demonstrated interest, and you're addressing each buying motivation in the exact order that matches how the brain makes decisions. Right? Logic first, then ease, and finally quality. Now, the objection handling sequence comes fifth because objections only matter for people who considered buying but didn't pull the trigger. This is where most systems fail completely. They treat a no as a permanent rather than a temporary by systematically identifying and addressing each specific objection. You're recovering sales that would otherwise be lost forever. Now, the risk reversal sequence comes last because it targets the final barrier, right? Fear of making the wrong decision. Now, at this point, they believe they need the solution. They understand how it works, they've engaged with your content, and they've seen the multiple reasons to buy, and you've addressed their specific objection. The only thing left is to remove the risk of making the decision, right? And what makes this so powerful is that it respects the natural psychology of buying. You can't skip steps or change the order without breaking the entire system, right? Each carriage builds on the previous one, creating a seamless journey that feels natural rather than forced. This is all about guiding the reader through the exact sequence of realizations and decisions they need to make before they're ready to buy. And that's why the chronological order matters so much. Now, I know this sounds like a lot of emails to create, and it is, but that's actually the point. Most people fail because they're unwilling to do the work of building the full system. But you set this up once, and then it runs on autopilot. Every new lead goes through the train automatically, and you're just watching people convert over and over again. And the best part is, you're not even burning out your list. You're building relationships, you're providing value, and you're selling in a way that feels natural. So people stay subscribed, they keep opening your emails, and they buy multiple times. And this is how the top people are making an absolute fortune with email, while everyone else is struggling to get anyone to open their stuff, okay? It's not magic, they just have a better system. So let me recap this whole thing because I just gave you a lot. The ARC system is a 6-carriage train that takes a lead from cold to customer, right? Carriage 1 is welcome and engagement. You're building trust and setting expectations. Carriage 2 is belief shift. You're pre-selling your offer by changing how they think about the problem and the solution. Carriage 3 is content-led sales. You're giving value while warming them up and filtering for engaged prospects. Carriage 4 is conversion. You're pitching to warm leads using 4 buying motivations. Carriage 5 is an objection handling, you figuring out why people didn't buy and addressing their specific objection. And Carriage 6 is risk reversal. You're removing all the logical resistance with guarantees and risk-free trials. And, this system works because it's based on how humans actually make decisions. You can't skip steps, you can't rush trust, you can't sell before you build belief. But when you do it in the right order, it feels natural and it converts like crazy. So if you're sitting on an email list that's not making you any money, it's not because the emails don't work. It's because you don't have a system to guide your audience along the ascension path. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.